right. So let's look at what the Brainstormers team can do. This was a first pass that I did with this team. And what I did was I basically followed the instructions and I went through the process of uploading the directions. There are directions in here, instructions for what to do. First, you copy and paste the text into there. Then you upload the files that go along with them. And then you greet your new team and say, hey, hi, and then you can ask them to discuss different topics. So I will show you what I just did earlier on this. So for starters, I started out with the instructions. I put them in and I uploaded the files. And now this is what it comes back with. This has got it. Thanks for sharing the expanded team instructions and personas. And then it did a quick confirmation of how this is going to operate from now on. Now, this is not a custom GBT. This is a regular chat instance. You could do this if you had the free version where you just logged in, or you could probably even do it if you weren't logged in. But you don't have to have the paid version to do this. And I'll show you in other videos how you can do this with other models as well. So start by giving the whole team a challenge, or would you prefer to begin with one persona's perspective? So let's do some introductions. I want them to introduce themselves, and then I'm going to introduce myself. And so, as you can see, Rowan Pierce shows up, Lena Torres shows up, Malik Rains, and Grace McAllister, and they all explain who they are and what they do. And then I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kay. I work closely with these teams, troubleshooting, brainstorming, and exploring topics. I look forward to working with you. And then they respond back, and each of the personas says a little introduction. Hi, nice to meet you. And then we go through that. And then they ask if I want to treat them as a start of an ongoing partnership, or prefer to treat each session as a fresh slate. And yes, I want to, and I'm not always really specific or correct when I interact with them, but they do, there's always a chance for me to go back and change what I've said so that I can explain better and we can interact better. This is not a one-shot deal. This is an ongoing interaction. So I'd love to be part of your process. Perfect. We'll treat you as part of the team, not just observing. You're co-shaping the process with us. And you can choose however you want to interact with them. You can say, I want to be part of your process, or I'm just going to sit back and watch you do your thing. Either way. And at any time, even if you say, I want to step back and just watch you do your thing, you can jump in at any time and say, hey, I want to be part of this too. And then they'll be like, oh, come on in. And they'll make room for you because that's how they've been designed. So let's kick things off with a warm-up brainstorm exercise. They're offering that? Yeah, let's do a warm-up. Great idea. And so they make it fun and energizing and giving me a feel for how we work together. So unexpected uses game. All right, and they pick an everyday object. Or I get to suggest an unusual creative. I'll pick an everyday object, and then everybody suggests an unusual thing, unusual creative use for it, and each of them describes what they're going to do. So I get to pick the object, and I said, how about a tape dispenser? Oh, great. Okay, because I'm looking at one on my desk right now. And so they work through it, say, oh, I see the tape dispenser is a microcosm. And then each of them comes up with their ideas. So there are 4 different angles. And then they say, hey, what's your unexpected use for a tape dispenser? I'm like, a nutcracker. It's going to be winter, which means it's time to break out the walnuts and cozy up by the fire. And then they go through that. And then they discuss. And they have a group takeaway for this. And then we can do a second warm-up round. But I'm like, hey, how about if we debate the relative merits and drawbacks of each of the suggestions? And going round robin for 5 rounds, discussing and debating. And so here they do their rounds. They do their opening critiques. And then it goes through the process and, all, um, and then there's that, what I had to say. And then let's have an active debate and do it one at a time. And each one for 5 rounds, everybody gets to weigh in on everybody else's stuff. So they're all debating and discussing how this all fits together. And then they have the debates about the different suggestions. And I will post this on my Substack so you can see how it plays out. But basically, this is how it unfolds. And they all have their own distinct viewpoint. They all have their distinct standpoint and their perspectives. And because they have been created that way, they've been created to be individuals and distinct individuals who can debate and hold their own in discussions with each other. And so let's take a vote. All right. And so everybody got a vote except for Rowan. So it's interesting. I get to be the tiebreaker, and they went with me. Now, I could say, I don't want my choice to be the only important one. I want us to go around again and really debate and see if we can all agree. If there is one that we can rank all of these and then add it up at the end and see which one comes out on top. There are a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. But with all of these different approaches, this is what you can do with these teams. And it doesn't have to only have to do with a silly little thing that you pick just out of curiosity. It can be bigger questions. It can be, you can brainstorm all sorts of things that are, your research or your choices. If you're debating whether to do this or whether to do that, you can talk about, if you're going to apply for a certain job or how to handle different situations. But they have 4 different perspectives, and particularly with things that have to do with the outside world and with AI or current events or things of that nature, they're a very good team for that because they are really geared towards real world scenarios and real world issues that we face as actual people. So that's the introduction, another introduction to what the Brainstormers can do. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you get a chance to work with them and play with them a little bit. But they can be very powerful and they can also be very insightful. So have at it.